I mentioned in the last lesson that there's another wonderful batting to work with, and it's wool. Ooh, you got to love wool batting. If you've ever hand quilted on wool, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's like butter. It's like summer when somebody leaves the butter on the counter and you take the knife and slice through. It just, well, it's like that for hand quilting. The problem with wool is, number one, it's expensive, though it has come down in price. I'll tell you that right now. But I, for myself, would only want to use wool batting if it were a quilt that were going to be used on a bed. I live in California, as you know, and I'm on a cleaning binge right now. I can't stand it. I'm getting rid of stuff like crazy. And one thing I pulled out of the closet was a wool coat that I got in high school with a fur collar. Probably wouldn't wear it now because you know that would be not PC. But I love that coat. And in looking at it, guess what? Now it has holes in it because of moths. I do think I'm going to get rid of the coat, but it's breaking my heart. If it breaks my heart that that darling little wool coat has holes in it, how would I feel if it were my quilt? Well, I talked to a gentleman in the industry about this, and he said, here's the deal with wool batting. The cotton on both sides act as firewalls. So the moths come up and go, boop, and they bump their head on it and they go away. He said, so theoretically, you'll be fine. Well, as soon as I heard the word theoretically, I kind of cringed, because we're not talking theoretically when I've sat at a frame for 6 weeks getting a quilt done. He said, when you have a quilt with wool batting, you want to use it. You want to have it on a bed where it's going to be aired out, moved, etc., so that the moths can't get in there. He suggested that you don't, say, put it in a quilt that's going to be on a wall. I'm ashamed to say, I am a clean housekeeper, but I'm ashamed to say I have taken quilts that have been hanging on the wall off, and guess what? There's a nest behind it. A spider nest. Also, my quilts sit in a cupboard. They aren't typically on beds, and so it would really make me sad if I pulled it out and then there was a moth nest in there. So for me, personally, my quilts are used for hanging on walls, to be stored, and to travel, so wool would not be appropriate for me. But if I were making a quilt that was going to be used and loved, and I lived in a climate where I wanted that sort of insulation, oh, wool, 100%, love it, love it, love it. But there are other battings you need to consider.